Thanks, Jen. You know, a few years ago, I had the privilege of meeting a truly unique artist here in San Francisco. Not only an incredible voice, but an incredible story, an incredible inspiration to many people. I'm very proud to have as our next guest, soprano Breanna Sinclairé. Breanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Breanna, I remember when we met, our mutual friend Michael, who is a producer of mine at another show, said, I have a woman who is an incredible talent, and she also happens to have been the first person to have sang the national anthem at a major sporting event, who also just happened to be transgender. And from there, you got incredible international attention. This past April, you were supposed to make your international stage debut in an opera, Bound, for Against the Grain Theater in Toronto. Well, we all know what a difference a pandemic can make. Obviously, that premiere didn't happen. Over the last few months since COVID happened, literally putting your career and your training on hold, what has it been like for you as first a singer and also as a transgender woman dealing with COVID-19?
It's a challenge. I mean, life happens, and I think as an artist, you have to accept the fact that life happens. And how do you maneuver, through those challenges? It has been a challenge, but I'm very thankful that I'm alive and well, and as trans folks, we go through our own personal issues. So with that, along with the COVID crisis that's affecting people all over the world, it can take a huge toll on your mental health and your emotional health. And so, but I am hanging in there, and, music never stops. So even if this is happening, I've learned that music never stops. You can always create and make music.
You know, like many artists, you work to support your art. I know that you work with the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, which at the best of times is always a challenge. I remember when I was in school, I waited tables and played piano to support my work. So if you're in the arts, it's like having two careers simultaneously. You've done, however, an incredible amount of training. For those who aren't familiar with your career, quickly take us through how you started and what professional development you have had and continue to have, specifically with operatic training.
Yes, so my voice went through a series of changes. So I started off as a tenor before I transitioned, and then from a mezzo soprano to now a lyric soprano. I'm currently studying with Sherry Greenewald at the San Francisco Opera, and also she's the artistic director of the Marilla program, and she is like my mother, my third mother. Well, I have a lot of mothers, but she is really a mentor in my life, and she has really worked on my craft tremendously, and I am still shocked at what the work that she has done with my voice. I went to art school most of my life. I went to Baltimore School for the Arts. For 2 summers during my high schooling, I went to a summer arts program called Tanglewood Institute in Lenox, Massachusetts. And during that summer, I learned so much, and I met so many people, and I met folks who were in the boys choir of Harlem. And it was great because, music was my escape, dealing with a family that didn't accept me. I was quite unique in my family. I never felt like I fit the right gender. And so music was a way of an escape. But I actually did start my classical training at 12 because of my grandmother, Arlene Bowen. She introduced me to this field of music, this genre of music, and I became so obsessed with it. And I remember at 5, I saw my first opera, Madame Butterfly, by Bocchini, and I specifically said to my grandmother that this is a career that I want to do for the rest of my life, because, when I was 5, looking at the costumes and the orchestra and the music and the staging, I was so enthralled by that beauty. And I naturally had a gift of singing, because my family are musicians. My father plays 12 instruments. My mother played the cello and the flute. And my grandmother is a great singer. So I really do believe that my singing came from my grandmother and maybe my father, but he thinks he can
Right,
sing.
right.
So.
And also, you are a graduate of the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, correct?
Yes, I graduated in 2013 from the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and it was very challenging because, I was the only trans woman in the voice department. And, it's like I say, being a trans person, it's not like you're gay where you can actually hide, you know, I guess kind of tone it down, but I couldn't, people like physically saw me transition. So, and that was, uh, it was really rough. And, not having much money and working 3 jobs and trying to finish school. But I am extremely thankful that my wonderful teacher, she really pushed me to be a great singer and took it step by step with me, because when I got
Right.
in as a master's student, all the other students were, um, advanced and good to go and ready to like venture out into the world. And I was actually just starting to sing mezzo soprano. And so I really had to start from the beginning in my master's program. So that was really difficult.
Right. So, Breanna, there's so many stories about how you have transitioned and you've inspired people both in the transgender community, but in the artistic and musical community as well. I've heard people's comments, I've talked to them, I've read the interviews you've done. Right now, during this moment, during COVID-19, you know, the arts community is being impacted in incredible ways. In general, what can you say that would give hope and inspiration to other performing artists in general, and specifically to other singers during this time? How are we going to come out of it? And what advice can you give?
As artists, like myself, we are continually evolving. And, this COVID pandemic, which is terrible for many people, folks have lost their jobs, the unemployment rate has increased. There's some very major big issues going on in our world that has taken a huge impact. But I think as a singer specifically, I think continually working on your voice, continually picking music that will strengthen your technique. So I think that as a performer, it just never ends. That's kind of been my process during this experience, is that I've continually worked on my repertoire. I've continually connected with my coach and figure out what can I do during this period of silence and closure, so that I can keep growing, you know.
Keep on keeping on.
Yes.
Breanna, in our last few moments, talk to me specifically about what this experience has been like on a personal level. What was the worst day or period for you, and the best day, something that inspired you and said, well, yesterday wasn't a great day, but this experience or this conversation I had, maybe with another artist or whatnot, has given me the hope and the inspiration to go on.
The Metropolitan Opera just started this HD free. They show operas. It's like for free. You log in and you watch free operas, and I think that's kind of been my inspiration. And watching a lot of opera productions kind of just keep me uplifted. I would say the first week of quarantine was really rough for me, and I'm sure it was rough for many people because there was so much uncertainty. It might sound corny, but during that first week, I actually went in the living room, took up my keyboard, and I just started doing scales, and I started singing some arias, and that kind of relieved me, and it gave me peace. But also I was dealing with a lot of things, the production of Bound that was supposed to be taking place in Toronto, Canada was postponed. And so a lot of things were just hitting me all at once. And I'm sure it was hitting a lot of folks all at once, from losing jobs, productions being halted and everything.
Do you ever think of yourself consciously as an inspiration to other artists and specifically to other members of the trans community?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to call myself, I guess, a role model trans community because that is such a heavy crown to hold. But I am one of the many trans folks who are paving ways for other trans folks to be their true selves and to be whatever field they're in, you know. Yes, my focus is classical music, but that also shows audiences that we as trans folks, we're human people. You know, we can have the same training, we can work the same jobs, we can do whatever we want, you know, in this world, you know. And I think, you know, my performance and other trans folks who are out there doing great things are opening the eyes of folks who sees us as just circus freaks, and we're not freaks, we're human beings. And I continually say that, you know, you know, our right to getting continuously stripped away from us. Trans women of color, you know, trans Black women are getting killed. And I don't think people understand that they're dealing with a human life, you know, a human life that deserves to go to the store and get groceries. They deserve to go to the mall without being gawked at. You know, they deserve to go to a restaurant with their friends and have a good time. You know, we're human beings. And so, you know, I am so honored that, you know, the universe, God, whoever it is that has given me this gift of song, you know, to uplift people and to uplift the community.
Your story is one of continual inspiration to me, and I know the community. And I can assure you that when we come out of this COVID-19 crisis, there'll be a lot of people who will look forward to crowding into a theater and hearing you on stage. Thank you for speaking with us today, Breanna.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Jen, a hard interview to top, but back to you.